Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? The Eagles host the New York Giants on Monday Night Football. There are some fans in this city that now feel optimistic because the Dallas Cowboys fell to Mitch Trubisky and the Chicago Bears. And I totally get that. I understand why that would make Eagles fans feel better about their chance to win the division. With that being said, though, that doesn't change the Eagles are a bad football team. I know Jerry Jones and Jason Garrett and that entire organization is falling apart, but that does not change the fact that the Eagles are a trash football team. They're 5-7. They are not good. Somehow, there is a chance for them to still win the division, and I want them to. I want to see Carson in a playoff game. I want to see them host a playoff game, even though they will be playing a wild card squad that has a way better record. I want to see the team in the playoffs. But that doesn't change my mentality on where this team is. The fact that Dallas lost, that doesn't change my mentality and my belief on if this team is good enough to make it happen. They might be by default, but I can't just assume that they are going to beat the New York Giants after they just fell to Miami. Why should I? What have they shown me? The fact that Doug Peterson had a practice with full pads, is that supposed to make me feel differently heading into Monday night? Now, before we talk more about this, I need to let you know about the promo code BROADS that you can use at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off of your total purchase. So you can put that money towards beer or parking, whatever you'd like. Use the promo code BROADS today. My gut feeling, and I hate that I feel this way, but my gut feeling is the Eagles will lose. I know Eli Manning is starting, and it's not going to be Daniel Jones, and I'm not going to try and sell to you that Eli Manning's going to get one of his last starts, and he's going to try and make the most of it, and he has fire lit under his ass, so he's going to go out there and perform. I'm not trying to sell you that whatsoever. But they are getting healthier with weapons. Ingram's going to be out there. Golden Tate's going to be out there. And they're coming off of, 8 straight losses? At some point, the bad teams win a football game. At some point, they are due. This screams like an opportunity for the Giants to win a football game. It's not like the defense is coming off of a stellar performance. I don't know what to think about them. They put together great games against Seattle, against the New England Patriots, but they fall apart to Fitzpatrick and Jim Schwartz, who had a stellar 3-4 week span there. He doesn't want to make any adjustments after making adjustments through that 4-week stretch that I really admired. It's not going to be a pretty football game, not by any means. But inside, I feel real woozy about this. I think the Giants are going to come into Philadelphia and grab the win. I want to be wrong. I absolutely do, but I'm not going to fake it to you and tell you that I feel all great about this. On paper, there's no doubt in my mind that the Eagles, even though they're 5-7, on paper, they should be able to handle business against this team that has 2 wins. But I thought the same thing against Miami, and I thought the same thing so many times this season. They just don't have it. Now, that doesn't mean it's impossible to win, because the Giants do not have it either. And they don't have a good defense. There is an opportunity for tight ends to get going in this game. The Giants do allow some big plays from tight ends. Here's an opportunity for Miles Sanders to go out there and compete against his former teammate in Saquon Barkley when they were teammates in Penn State. And I read this article on The Athletic about those two and how competitive they were, even in practice at Penn State. And obviously Miles Sanders was behind Saquon Barkley, and he really had to force Saquon Barkley to work his hardest, or else Miles Sanders would take the job. They have a great rivalry, but a friendship as well. And it's going to be awesome to see those two compete out on the link. Let's see who wins the battle, but there's an opportunity there, and there's an extra spark lit underneath both of their bums. The reason I think the Giants are going to win, one, listen, the Eagles are not a good team. And I know we believe that they're better than their record says because we are fans and we had these expectations to win the Super Bowl, and we're almost in denial. We're in denial. How is this happening? We were supposed to be Super Bowl favorites. We were supposed to make a legit run. Now we're 5-7. We're holding on to this hope. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean we can't win this game, but I think we are in denial with where this football team is. They are 5-7. That's so disturbing to say, but they are. That means they should be able to handle a 2-8 squad. But why? Why is that true? What am I supposed to tell you? JJ Arcega-Whiteside is supposed to make a difference out there? No Nelson Aguilar, even though he drops a lot of passes. No Derek Barnett. No Jordan Howard, and I'm mentioning those two because they didn't practice as of Friday's practice. It doesn't mean they're not going, but they did not participate in practice. So my guess is if they don't practice on Saturday, according to reports that there will be the practice on Saturday, if they don't practice then, realistically, is there a no-go for Monday? But no Jordan Howard, and clearly that has changed how Doug Peterson elects to call games. And once again, he's not cleared to practice. This is not a stinger. They are trying to hide something once again. We're going to find out in a couple weeks that he's going to have surgery or something. I know it. I can just sense it. That's how it's going to be. Doug Peterson is going in full circles right now. He's lost as a head coach. When he's getting asked to the media all these questions, he's going in full circles. His answers don't make any sense. He says one thing, then the next day he tries to go back on what he said. Doug Peterson is absolutely lost. So it's going to be a battle of two teams that have no structure right now. This is arguably the strongest and the healthiest, I would say, the Giants have been in a while. And I know that they're throwing in Eli Manning, who seems to be absolutely done. But still, I mean, he won the Super Bowl a couple times, and he has plenty of experience in this league. It's not ridiculous at this point to think that it's possible that maybe he has a decent game, and a decent game can probably beat the Eagles if they play the way that they have been playing. You need to look at Alshon Jeffrey and hope that he has a game like he had last week. He had a good game last week. You got to hope that Greg Ward is able to do something. JJ Arcega-Whiteside. You got to hope that Zach Ertz bounces back. Now remember, he was battling injury, decided to play, and then dropped some key passes. Remember that. Dallas Goedert has fumbled the football this year. We need to pray that all of that somehow gets fixed. And maybe, this can happen. Maybe that because the Dallas Cowboys lost, and because Doug Peterson decided to step up and have a full padded practice, that there is a sense of urgency in that locker room. Because I mentioned how the fan base feels differently because Dallas lost. Well, the mindset changed with Doug Peterson going out with a full padded practice, right? Saying, listen, we're not going soft here. It's deep into the season. Teams don't do this. He's saying, we're doing it. That was unacceptable. We're going full pads. Okay. Mix that in with the emotional side of things, seeing the Dallas Cowboys lose and understanding that somehow there is a chance to sneak into the playoffs. Maybe that's enough to really get this team going. I would say that the crowd would be a factor, but this team has lost at home to squads they absolutely should have beaten so far this season. So I'm basing this off of things that happened in the past with this squad this season. And that's the only way to handle it. My biggest fear is I'm going to go with the narrative of bad teams eventually win. The Redskins will finally win. The Cincinnati Bengals will finally win a game. The Dolphins will finally win a game. Well, there will be a time where the Giants eventually win a football game. and they're getting some weapons back offensively, and Barkley's going to have a little sense of urgency to beat up on his old college teammate. Who knows? Who knows how it's going to play out? But I don't feel great about it. I'm going to sit down and put my feet up on the couch with some stank in my face. There's going to be some stank on it. Because I know that it's going to be a battle of two bad football teams. The thing is, one of those teams actually still has a shot to make it happen. Oh, wow. This is something else, really. Who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought that it would come down to something like this? It's laughable. The Dallas Cowboys are frustrated. The Eagles fans are frustrated. I keep hearing this discussion about it being impossible the Eagles lose to such a bad team. And that's where I keep throwing in, it's not impossible. And I'm not saying the Eagles can't win the game. They can win the game, but it's not impossible that they lose. I think this fan base believes that this Eagles football team is better than they are. They are not good. And it starts with the head coach who has taken a big step down. He's dropping back Carson Wentz 50 times a game and only running it about 19 at times, really. I mean, when you look after a game and you see 46 passing plays and you see 19 runs or 20 runs, that bothers me. And I always go back to the successful wins this year. They ran the ball. And I know Jordan Howard is different, but Miles Sanders has actually shown progress. He's done a good job of running through the tackles, running up the middle. Now, he still bounces things to the outside, but he's starting to develop his game in the NFL. He's starting to realize the defense and how there's a difference between college football and the NFL and when he can go to the outside and when he needs to hit a specific gap. He's learning week by week, and I am very impressed with how quickly he picked things up. See, when you look at someone like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, he hasn't picked much up. Miles Sanders continues to get better week after week. If you start to see progress in J.J. Arcega-Whiteside like we see in Miles Sanders, well, you feel differently about him. But I don't see anything different out of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. And speaking of busts that you draft in the second round, Sidney Jones isn't even available to play. Let that sink in. It's getting flown right underneath the radar. When Mills and Darby came back, they had a good stretch of games. They looked absolutely pathetic against Miami because they did not want to compete. But we stopped talking about Sidney Jones. He was playing early in the season. And if you remember, early in the season, the defense looked its worst. Literally. It was the ugliest it looked all season. Sidney Jones can't even get on the field. He can't even play. That's saying a lot. I originally didn't think the Eagles would move on from him, considering he was a second-round pick, and that's admitting that they made a mistake. At this point, maybe that is a realistic option. But who cares right now? Because that doesn't have any effect on this game. Although it does. One of our second-round picks can't even play cornerback. I guess that does have some sort of effect on it. I might as well throw this out there as well. I don't think I touched on it yet. Mac Hollins getting released. Think about this. The Eagles released Mac Hollins and Jordan Matthews recently. These are two players who played legit starting snaps for weeks, and they are getting snipped this deep into the season. That does not happen. You might cut some guys at the end of the bench. Some practice squad guys might get picked up off places and whatever the case may be, right? Teams do not release their starting wide receivers this late into the season. That tells you how embarrassing it is, how pathetic they are, how garbage they are. And that speaks on how badly Howie Roseman has drafted. There's so much. I mean, there's just literally a snowball effect on the conversation you can have based off of Mac Hollins and Jordan Matthews getting cut this late in the season. And then the Miami Dolphins have the nerve to sign him. They must have saw something in this special teams game that they really liked. Let's get it back to this game against the Giants. I'm rooting for the Eagles. I want them to succeed. They should be able to get the job done. There's no doubt in my mind they should be able to. Eli has not had much success against the Eagles throughout his career. He's definitely older. He's a backup quarterback for a reason at this point. I'm not believing that he's somehow going to turn into his old self because he's so fired up to be a starter again for a game. I don't think it's to that degree. There's a reason why he's a backup. He just can't play anymore. Father time always wins at the end of the day. So the Eagles should be able to win. But that doesn't mean they will. They have so many losses this year when I stated they should be able to win. So go out and prove it to me. At this point, I can't speculate W's. I can't speculate what's going to happen because this offensive line is better than their defensive front, and the Eagles' defensive line should be able to get pressure on their offensive line. Because they've shown me, no matter if that's true or not, it doesn't correlate to success on the field. I didn't even mention the defensive front. They should be able to get to the quarterback. Eli Manning should have that face where he's confused and he looks all over the place. You know the meme I'm talking about when it comes to Eli Manning. He should have that face all night long because Brandon Graham should eat, because Fletcher Cox should eat. Now, I mentioned Derek Barnett did not practice, and he was clearly banged up last game. He was all over the place at one point early in that Miami game. His name was getting thrown out every single play. I don't even want to bring up that Miami game ever again because it was that brutal. But my point is, there is a path for the Eagles to do this thing. You got to take it one game at a time. They have an easy schedule compared to the Dallas Cowboys. But you got to take it one game at a time, and you got to find a way to win these games. Whether the motivation comes from Doug Peterson switching things up in practice and going full pads, whether it's the fact that the Dallas Cowboys continue to blow up, whether it's the combination of both of those things, and the team coming together realizing, listen, it hasn't been pretty. We got lucky because the division is crap. But there is some sort of path. There is a road to get to the playoffs and to host a playoff game at the Link. And some of those players have experienced what it's like to play a playoff game at the Link. I mentioned how the crowd shouldn't play a factor in this game because they haven't all season long. Well, it's completely different in the playoffs. Make it happen. No excuses. Carson? Let's have one here. I didn't think he played poorly against the Miami Dolphins, and this week he will be going up against a defense that's just as bad. So there's an opportunity there. There's a window to make some plays. I didn't think he played poorly, but I also did not think he had his strongest game either. Maybe because he's starting to get more comfortable with Greg Ward and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and he doesn't have to worry about Jordan Matthews and Mac Hollins. Not that that is that much of an upgrade, I'll be honest with you, because it's really not that much of an upgrade, but maybe personally he believes in them more, so he will have more confidence to make plays to those players. And having Alshon back is huge. You saw it last game. He's never going to lose faith in Zach Ertz or Dallas Goedert, in my opinion, so those options are always going to be there. But it comes down to Doug Peterson also putting a good game plan together. Run the ball with Miles Sanders. Run the football. The kid can do it. The kid will want to do it specifically in this game more than any other game, too, because he wants to show up Saquon Barkley. So come on, Doug. You're a player's coach? That's what you do? Well, here's a kid, a rookie, who wants to show up one of his ex-teammates who is a stud in this league. pound the rock. You have the offensive line to do so. You have Lane Johnson and Brooks, okay? Those are phenomenal linemen on the right side. Pound the rock. Don't have Carson Wentz drop back 50 times. I don't care that it's against a bad football team. It shouldn't matter. Not the Sixers. My mind's all over the place. The Eagles are a bad football team as well. Numbers will tell you that. Stats will show you that. So let's not overthink this. Sometimes I feel like this coaching staff overthinks things. And that's not just the Eagles coaching staff. That's a football coach. All these NFL coaches, they overthink things. They make things more complicated than it needs to be. Run the damn ball. Let that open up some plays. Run the ball, play action. Running the ball opens up more things. I mean, I know this. Yet Carson Wentz will drop back 46 times. I mean, I can see it coming already. I understand why the optimism is there. Because of hearing Jerry Jones, seeing Dak Prescott, watching the Cowboys almost give up to the Chicago Bears. I see it. But don't let that distract you from this Eagles team having its own problems as well. They're big problems. They're not little problems. They're big problems. Let's see how they do it. Let's see if they can respond. Let's see if they can make it happen at home. Let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. I will see you next time.